Hello, everyone, and welcome to Out of the Box's Tech Tuesday. Today, our webinar is covering the latest updates and enhancement in QuickBooks Online. We're so happy that you've joined us for our webinar presented by Out of the Box in partnership with Intuit. Today's presenter, oops, looks like I've messed up our presentation here. Today's presenter is Leah Hartman, Principal Professional Services Consultant at Intuit. Leah specializes in QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Online Accountant, and QuickBooks Online Payroll. Leah has spoken at a number of Out of the Boxes webinars, and she's always a favorite. Her expertise within the product is unrivaled, so we encourage you to engage her with any questions you might have. As for me, my name is Jeanette Schwartz-Rattan. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Out of the Box, and I will be your moderator for the day. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. This session is being recorded, so you don't have to give yourself carpal tunnel syndrome trying to take all the notes. The recording will be shared with you within the next 24 hours as a resource after the webinar, where you can revisit, any key points and information you'd like to review, share it with your colleagues, and allow you to really dive in real time here with us. We don't expect today's presentation to take the full hour, so there will be plenty of time left for questions at the end. But if we're covering something that you have a question about in real time, feel free to chat those to us in the Q&A box, and we'll address those questions as they arise. Like I said, along with the recording, we will also share the slide deck with you in an email post-webinar. And just a little bit about Out of the Box, if you haven't joined us before, or maybe it's been a while. Our mission is to empower entrepreneurs with the QuickBooks-based financial tools, services, and insights they need to thrive. Out of the Box is the premier choice for QuickBooks accounting services, boasting over 30 years of experience and a track record of exceeding the expectations of more than 50,000 satisfied clients. Our comprehensive accounting solutions save you time and money while providing you with the financial accuracy, security, and insights necessary to grow your business. As an elite QuickBooks solution provider, we are able to offer you exclusive discounts on pricing, so please be sure to reach out and connect with us before purchasing your QuickBooks solutions. With that, I believe I have covered all of our housekeeping items, so I am going to stop sharing to allow Leah to take over.
Thanks, Jeanette. I appreciate it.
Sure. Welcome.
Thank you. And hello, everybody. I hope you guys are all having a great day. What's today? Tuesday.
Yes.
Today's Tuesday. My apologies for the brain fog. I just came back from a very long, awesome vacation. So happy to be here with you guys. And here's the good news. We've got a lot of good updates, but they're very short and sweet. So if you guys don't have questions, we'll definitely end early today. If you're new here, I do chunk out the updates by the type of product that we're going to be speaking to. If it is specific to QuickBooks Online as a whole, we'll have it under the QuickBooks Online section. If it's specific to like a version, like advanced, then I will have that, as well as payroll, payments, all that good stuff. So sit back, questions, please feel free to jump in. I'd be happy to answer them as we go through. So this is within the last 3 months, updates that we have announced and also put blogs out about. So put it in a nice little pretty bow for you guys. For the first thing that we want to talk a little bit about, and again, if you guys are new here, you've never heard me speak before, I'm always a person of optional, not required mindset. So this is all just information for you guys to utilize however you deem fit. If you don't think that this is a good fit for your business, then please feel free to just move on. But the first thing I want to talk about a little bit today is line of credit. So we do have a line of credit option that's available within QuickBooks Online. It's the ability to meet some short-term cash flow needs. So let's say you have an invoice that ranges from $1,000 to $50,000, and you kind of need the ability to get some money in advance if you're in a tight bind. It is something that is available on eligible invoices. as well as being able to draw cash from an available credit. So let's say you apply and you get approved for $25,000. You can pull or draw from that $25,000 as you please. Only pay for what you borrow. There's no additional origination or draw fees. Like let's say you take 10,000 out the first time, and then you need to take out 5. There's no additional charges. You'll just need to pay for what you borrow, and no prepayment penalties. Thank goodness, we all love that. If you're interested in learning more about this or something that you would potentially want to use, please feel free to utilize the link that's on the slide when you guys get a copy of this, so you can learn a little bit more about what it looks like, how does the application work, all that good stuff. What does an eligible invoice mean, all that good stuff. So line of credit, I think we used to call it something else, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but I can't. So this is pretty much the same if you guys have used any of our line of credit offerings in the past. This is the same thing. I think we've just kind of rebranded it a little bit. Next up, we have reminding customers of unpaid balances. So you now have an opportunity to email reminders to customers that total the customer's unpaid balance. So think of this as like a statement, but it's grouped. So to send a grouped reminder, you're going to go to the sales tab in QuickBooks. And if we have an opportunity to jump in the product, which we definitely will today, I'll show you guys what that looks like. But we're going to go to the sales tab. Then you click on the customers option. In the action column for the customer, there's a send reminder button. So especially if you have someone who has a lot of overdue invoices, you'll be able to access from there. Follow the steps to send the reminder. So I have my QuickBooks open. So if we go to our sales customers here in QuickBooks, and then if we just simply check the box, nope, hey, get back there. Under the action column, my apologies, under the action column here, there is a send reminder option. So let's say is this Kevin Jones, I need to send a reminder to. Then I just click on the little upside down triangle here under the action column, hit send reminder, and this is what it would look like. You'll have an opportunity to, oh, maybe it's because he doesn't have anything here, right? Right. But you guys get to see the picture that I put in here for you guys. So this is what the send reminder would look like. You'll get to put in an email address. If you want to add additional emails, just like with any other system in QBO, just use a comma. If you'd like to send yourself a copy, you're more than welcome to. Change or update the subject and email body. You'll get to see the total balance as well as the invoices that it's tied to, and then you can hit that send button. So that is an update that we have. This is a good one here, batch import journal entries. If you, or if you're working with a bookkeeper or someone who uses journal entries frequently, and instead of creating one individually every single time or using a third-party application, you can now import journal entries via CSV. I don't see this being a super commonly used feature unless you are an accountant or a bookkeeper. However, oops. Get back there. However, it is something I'd like to point out because the import option is available for a lot of other transaction types, and journal entries, for whatever reason, was one of the ones that wasn't there. But if you go to the gear icon in the upper right hand corner and go to import data under the tools column, when you select the drop down here, journal entries now exists. This is available for all versions of QBO. This is not just available to advanced or plus or what have you. You can use it for all of them. Similar to any of the other items that you can see here. And then when it comes to the import process itself, it's basically just going to be mapping. So upload a file to import your data from CSV. If you want to see how it works, you can click on the little video here. There used to be a test file. Okay, yes. Once you hit the download or import button, there is a sample CSV that you can access, and it just kind of helps you with the columns. So when you go to map the columns, they'll match up accordingly. So that makes it helpful. You could just copy and paste from there and utilize the sample. Easy peasy. So that's batch import journal entries. Next up, we have creating creating items and sales receipts transactions from a bank feed. So when you're working in a bank feed, you can now add transactions to the books. Oh, whoops, I don't have my slideshow open here. You can now create transactions straight from your client's bank feed to help improve reporting and insights on their business performance. So when you're creating transactions from the bank feed, it's usually a few different types. You've got your deposits, you've got your expenses, income, and all that good stuff. Now, staying on top of sales performance and compliance, using bank feeds in QuickBooks Online, you can now add transactions to the books at a more detailed item level. You can also add transactions as sales receipts to categorize them more accurately. Plus, for the purpose of creating an estimate versus actual report in the advanced version, specific to advanced, you can split transactions from the bank feed by product or service. So you'll now be able to do that, I believe, since I was playing around with this the other day. I believe that this is still being rolled out. This is not available for everyone 100% just yet. So if you're not able to see this specifically when you're in the bank feeds, give it some time. We do kind of do slow rollout sometimes, depending on how to make sure things don't, quote unquote break. But this is something that has been widely distributed for the most part. So keep an eye out if you're not seeing stuff. As always, feel free to give your folks care call. I believe Out of the Box is also another great resource that you can call and ask questions to as well. All right, so the next few set of slides we have here is updates around our payroll services. This is going to be more geared towards some updates that we've made with payroll and QB time. So the first thing that we did was digitize the I-9 employment verification process with QuickBooks Online Payroll. So rather than relying on hard copies of this form, you can simplify and digitize this I-9. So as a part of the QuickBooks workforce setup process, a new employee is kind of required to fill out their portion to confirm their identity for the U.S. employment process. On their start date, employees will bring in their ID confirming documents to you, not your clients, sorry, it's you. Within 3 days of this start date, you will complete their part of the I-9 form in QuickBooks, and then afterwards, for safekeeping, that document will be stored in the Documents tab of the profile. So along with the profile of QBO, so if I were to go into the payroll portion here, that content or that information will now be stored within the employee's profile. So you no longer have to keep a hard copy of that. So that would be located here under the Documents tab. I-9 will also exist with here as well. If there's additional documents that need to be added, in case you're not aware, you can add additional documents as well as create folders. So that all kind of lives within the one system. You won't have to keep track of that. If the employee made an error on I-9, can it be corrected? Not automatically. It would need to be manually corrected. I don't know the actual process for fixing something that's been inputted incorrectly, but support could definitely help you with that. That's a great question, though. So back in the day, we used to have a third-party application we integrated with T-Sheets. I'm sure we all remember them fondly. And then we bought them and then we turned them into QB Time. So QB Time has been kind of in this, like, what do we call it? Limbo land, where sometimes you have to go to the other tab, the QB Time website or the old T-Sheet site. And then some of the feature functionality was in QuickBooks Online. So we're starting to integrate it a little bit more where there's more time tracking functionality in the time entries in QBO. So rather than switching between the two tools, you can use updated functionality in QuickBooks. So you'll be able to see more detailed timesheets or time entries within the product, including time tracked, the GPS points, if you have that. I believe there are certain functionality features that are available in the premium versus elite time tracking options, attachments, notes, employees that are missing pay rates, so much more. You also can choose a single day in the time entry date picker to view entries. You can sort information in the time entries table. You can also consult in the new in out via column to see which device an employee used to clock in and out. So you'll be able to see a lot more detailed information. For this, you'll be able to access that. And again, this is somebody who has QuickBooks Online payroll and QuickBooks Time. So if they don't have time, the add-on essentially, then we can go to the time option here in the left-hand navigation bar, and you'll be able to start seeing all of those features, functionalities, kind of time tied to the QuickBooks here. I'm sorry, tongue-tied, reset. I don't think I have any time entries in this particular client file or test file, I should say, but you'll be able to access the time entry information here. You'll also be able to still do approvals. So that's not changed. That's been there for some time. The time team. So this is going to be associated with the employees that are actually set up to track time. So you'll be able to manage that through here. Assignments. You'll be able to access this as far as who's assigned to certain jobs, all that good stuff. Time off. I don't have any time of like vacation or sick time pays like set up for any of the folks that are doing time tracking, so that's not set up. So you can approve or deny time off here, set up company holidays, filter time off requests and things like that, as well as your time reports that are available. If this is still not meeting the needs, your needs, and you still have to go back to the old QuickBooks time, which is basically T-sheets, there are a couple of options here or hyperlinks that you could utilize to take you back there, and it'll take you back to the old T-sheets screen. So lots more functionality that's been built into the product, which makes it a lot easier, more helpful when you are, well, we're trying to combine everything together. So that makes more sense. Next up, this is a pretty big one, but I want to make sure I'm really clear on what this is and what this isn't. So we know for folks that are used to QuickBooks Desktop and kind of have moved into QuickBooks Online, the payroll systems are vastly, vastly different. And so one of the things, pieces of feedback that we've heard from businesses, from accountants, from everybody, is that the lack of ability of being able to make corrections, adjustments, basically being able to do any changes really after payroll has been difficult. And so one of the things that we've done or we've worked on is the ability to make paycheck corrections after a payroll's been run. There are quite a few caveats to this though. However, it's a start. And so one of the things I just want to remind folks is this is a full service payroll service. And so with that comes with those restrictions, requiring and making sure that things are done in a proper, timely fashion. That's kind of what the full service assists with. It's no longer a do-it-yourself. And so it's definitely going to be a different process mindset if you are transitioning from, say, the enhanced payroll desktop and moving into a full service option in the online world. With that being said, you can correct payroll mistakes and manage payroll for employees whose paychecks have not been recorded within the current tax quarter. So here's the biggest thing that I want to just make sure. This is not true after the fact payroll. This is not true after the fact payroll. If you still have an open quarter, so we still have to think of the mindset of we're working in an open quarter. Corrections can only be made if the taxes have not been filed for that period. So what does that mean? If we were to say the first quarter of the year, right? January, February, March. If March 31st comes around, and I need to add a paycheck that I missed for the first 3 months, then the 31st is the last day that you could possibly add a paycheck to and backdate for that open quarter. You won't be able to add or backdate April 1st. So that's just a heads up, is like, again, it's not true after the fact payroll, but it is better than what it was before. If you made any payroll changes, QuickBooks will remind you to check your taxes to see whether the amount you owe has changed or not. If you have auto turned on, there's some caveats. It talks about how to create a late paycheck. There's some caveats. It talks about what that would look like, and if you would have to pay the tax manually, or if we would be able to cover it, the auto payroll for you guys. Pretty sure it's a manual thing, but there's a lot of not stipulations, but there's a lot of different restrictions and things like that. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I want to just let folks know. It's not true after the fact payroll. However, you can make corrections and you can add paychecks and backdate them as long as you're in the open quarter. Otherwise, if you are in a situation where the quarter has already closed and you need to add a payroll or paycheck or make a correction, you'll still have to work with our corrections teams to submit that and get that fixed and or updated.
Yeah, we did have a question come in. This was in reference to the section on QuickBooks Time. Peter was asking, can that module be connected to job costing, time billing, and tied to invoicing?
So with the time tracking in QuickBooks Online, it is tied to job costing if you can tie it to job costing. The thing that I am still trying to wrap my head around is the time tracking being that it's a non-posting transaction. It'll show up if you tie it to a project, but it will not be associated with payroll expenses or like cost billing until you run a physical payroll. So yes and no. You can create time tracking and tie it to a customer's project. You can, do billable expenses or billable time, right, and add that to invoices and all that good stuff. But if you're trying to get the breakdown of expenses in here that includes time tracking, that is where you will have to be utilizing our payroll service. And once an actual payroll is run, you'll be able to see that breakdown here. The time activity still lives within the project itself. And then from a reporting perspective, we do have the time cost by employer vendor. You will have to go into the project in order to access that, unbilled time and expenses. And then, of course, if you're in the advanced version, estimates versus actuals. So yes and no. But that's the little caveat that I always have. Yeah, good question. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it. Okie dokie. And that's it. That's all I had for you guys. Not a whole lot of updates. Usually during the summertime, we're pretty quiet when it comes to updates. Hopefully, the next one that we have will be a little bit more beefed up. But I'm open to answering any possible questions that you guys may have. Anything that you guys want to discuss, I'm definitely here. Otherwise, we can wrap.
Excellent. Thanks, Leah. I just wanted to mention to Peter and his question about job costing, that each industry's needs are a little bit different, and it's definitely based upon your tech stack as well for that job costing and time portion. So I encourage you to reach out to a lady here. I'm going to throw up her information on the screen quickly. Well, you can email us at hello@outoftheboxtechnology, or you can contact Jennifer Abney. She is kind of our in-house expert on job costing, and she can get you started with some demos, answer any other questions you might have, and really take a closer look at your use case. So. All right, looks like we've got a couple more questions. Jordan's asking, when sending invoices and reminders, is there a way to get a notification when the email is no longer available or if we entered the email incorrectly?
That's a really great question, Jordan. I personally have never tested that or seen it. What would happen if we did get an error? So that might be a support question. I don't know because I don't think it's coming from your email. So it's not like you would get the email rejection. I think it would go to QuickBooks. I'm so sorry. I don't know the answer to that question, but that is a good one.
We've got another question here. I understand that QBO is not HIPAA compliant. Do you know if there are any plans to make it HIPAA compliant in the near future?
Yeah, great question. So just as a general statement. HIPAA compliance is in reference to medical records of personal information of patients. And I'll tell you this right now, if we were to invest time and energy into making QuickBooks Online HIPAA compliant, that would kind of put us into a specific niche, which we are not trying to do. We allow third-party applications to kind of modify and enhance QuickBooks Online from a niche perspective. And so the medical industry, while it is very important, I don't see us investing that time and resource into becoming HIPAA compliant. A lot of the folks that I've seen in the dental offices, small doctors' offices that do use QBO just simply send totals and sales and numbers into QuickBooks. They actually have their own HIPAA compliant system to store that information. They do not use us to do that.
Got it. Thank you. We've got one additional question. Can you share any feedback on accuracy in the conversion process from desktop to online?
Sure. So conversion from desktop to online has over the years been enhanced, modified, and it's pretty darn accurate from my understanding, working with my implementation team that does a lot of conversions every day. Usually when we come into issues or complex type migrations, usually comes into a few factors of the size of the desktop file, or if there's corruption in the file itself. And so usually those steps, there's very detailed articles on how to kind of mitigate those and what to expect if you're running into situations where you're trying to overwrite a QuickBooks Online subscription that had a bad migration. Sometimes there's problems there, but usually just kind of using a new QBO subscription helps. I know, Jeanette, don't you guys help with migrations as well? I don't want to just talk about me.
100% we do. We can assist with migrations, conversions, file upgrades, all of that good stuff. I was just answering a question another attendee has. We position ourselves as anything and everything QuickBooks. So if you have a QuickBooks issue, if you need training, if you need consulting, if you need to upgrade, we are your team of experts. We're a full service bookkeeping firm. So yeah, if you're thinking about a migration, I encourage you to reach out. We do assessments where we can really kind of help nail down a scope. So yeah, just email us at hello@outoftheboxtechnology.com and we can get you started. Let's see. So we've got one last question from Jordan. How can you put in an hourly rate? We charge projects by employee. Rates are different for each employee. We are using time, and employees charge their time to certain projects or clients. Does it just need to be marked billable?
Yeah, so there is a rate that you can enter in when you mark a time tracking as billable. You'll be able to enter in that rate. If you are using our payroll service and you have a special rate, you'll be able to choose the pay type and then that rate will populate. So it just depends on how you're set up or that situation, but checking the billable time option and having it checked inside the time or the billable time on the timesheet, you'll be able to put a pay rate in there for you.
Excellent. All right. Well, it looks like those are all the questions for now. If you have any additional questions, again, feel free to reach out to us at the email address on the screen, hello@outoftheboxtechnology.com. We are happy to get you an assessment on your bookkeeping, on your file status, on any conversions. We do demos of lots of integrations with QuickBooks. So please feel free to reach out. Again, the recording and the slide deck from this presentation will be shared with you within the next 24 hours. And we're happy to give you a little bit of time back in your day. And thanks for joining us. And thanks, Leah, for your expertise as always.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, and I'll see you guys in 3 months.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks,
Goodbye,
guys.
everybody.